Hello, everyone. Here we are in one more episode of our program, Consciousness in Evolution. And I'm super happy to announce that we have a very special guest, super special today, that is going to talk about ectoplasmy and parasurgery. Just to remember that this is a program from Reaprendência International, and its name is Consciousness in Evolution. And we are here to debate the essential concepts of conscienciology and bring for you researchers and instructors of conscienciology that is going to present topics and debate with you some interesting and important subject related to consciousness evolution, re-education, parapsychism, bioenergetic approach, and so much more. Okay, so feel free to send you your questions and to debate with us. Ask your doubts directly to the instructors. Okay, so I'm going to introduce to you our guest that we are very pleased to announce. It's Mr. Djalma Fonseca. Okay. And Djalma is the co-founder of ECTOLAB, an institution dedicated to the laboratorial research of ectoplasmy and parasurgery. He is a businessman, volunteer, teacher, and penta practitioner since 1989, conscientiometrist since 2009, and parasurgery teammate for the last 7 years. Currently, he volunteers at Conscious, an institution dedicated to self-re-education through conscientious metric techniques, and also Unisyn, that is the organization which goal is to implement the basis of the world state through consciential re-education and synergism among conscientiological institutions. So welcome, Djalma.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here with you guys.
Great.
It's my pleasure, all my pleasure.
Very well. And we are also having a guest that you already know her, is our instructor from Reaprendência, Ana Márcia Yogan. So people, Ana Márcia is graduated in medicine and specialized in cardiology, echocardiography, intensive care, and brief psychotherapy. She graduated in nursing and specialized in endoscopy. Anna first knew about conscienciology in 2003 through the International Institute of Projectiology and Conscienciology, IIPC, in Brazil. She currently lives in the USA, volunteers at Reaprendência, and is a member of the Invisible College of the Somatology. So people, you are very well accompanied by our instructors today.
Thanks for having me.
Very well, Anna. I will transmit the slides for you,
okay.
And you can start at any time. Okay, I'll be here and send you the questions that our viewers send to us. Okay, I will be talking to you in some minutes. Right?
All right.
Feel free to start.
Okay, I appreciate very much everything. Could you please go to the next slide? Okay, today we're going to discuss the research we have been doing for several years on ectoplasm, ectoplasmy, and also parasurgery. Next slide, please. It's very important to base everything on the disbelief principle. Do not believe in anything, not even in the information you receive here. Experience it or experience. Have your own personal experiences, okay? We think that experiencing is much more important than believing or anything. So we're going to bring some hypotheses. We're going to bring some light on what is the state right now of understanding of ectoplasmy and everything. So let's start discussing what is ectoplasm before I go into the field, which is very important area or very important let's say, to study ectoplasm, we need to produce it. And what is ectoplasm? Or ectoplasm anyway, Djalma? Ectoplasm is energy, but in a form much denser form. But in this form that is very dense, we produce a lot of physical or possibility of physical phenomena. For instance, materialization of spirits. In the 19th century, this was very much researched in England, here in Brazil. We had some very impacting kind of phenomena in this time at this time. Nowadays, we study also ectoplasm, but in general, our phenomena is more subtle, and we are going to discuss this kind of phenomena that any person might experience. Some of us, okay,
dear teacher. Our viewers, Evelyn and Regina, they are saying that they can't see the slides.
okay.
I don't know what's happening because we can see it here. Djalma, can you try? I will. Can you try to? I will take it out and put it again. Just a second, because I think it's important to have these
slides.
Also,
yes,
these slides. Okay.
So can you tell me how did you start to do your research in ectoplasmic?
Yes.
How
definitely
that subject came to you?
Well, as a matter of fact, I have had a lot of experience with that. I didn't know that this was ectoplasm. Ever since I was a child, I had some physical phenomena of materialization. I saw some consciences or some spirits, as most people would say, that are decimated or without soma, right? Spirits or phantoms, as a lot of people like to say,
to address.
And that was very interesting. I wanted to know more about it. I wanted to study more about it. So I met Dr. Waldo. Waldo Vieira is a very prominent, or one of the best researchers on the ectoplasmy area as well. And several years before, he told me, no, you have this kind of thing. You have a lot of ectoplasmy, so you need to study this. You need to take this very seriously, because a lot of the things that happen with your body, with your energies, with your motivation, have to do with the process of ectoplasmic exteriorization.
Can you give some examples of these symptoms? What are you used to experience, so the viewers could relate to their experiences?
Well, yes, there are sometimes when I went out and I had went out to places where there were too many people, and I would afterwards, like 10, 15 minutes afterwards, I would be very tired. More tired than most people. A lot of people feel tired, but I would be very tired. So what I understood later is that if I did not master better my energies, or I could hold my energies or maintain my personal energetic field while having interaction in those places, I would lose a lot of energy when I had those kinds of encounters. So this was one of the things that I didn't know it had to do with ectoplasm. Another thing, sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night with cramps, real strong cramps. I used to be an athlete. I know I might be lacking potassium. I might be with some of those things. But even when I had potassium, I had more frequently this kind of thing than most of my colleagues that were athletes as well. And I wouldn't feel cramps in other situations.
Oh, yeah.
Afterwards, I understood that when you're exteriorizing muscle ectoplasm, many times you feel strong cramps. Not only, you feel your muscle really contracting, and it sometimes contracts all all at once, and sometimes
Very
it
intensively.
contracts in like myoclonius, like you know
Myoclonus. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very
impulses. Yeah.
interesting because I use it. I use it to have this. In past year, I had all the year these cramps. After I started, I didn't
You
know
see?
about it, but I really started going to working more better with energies. Maybe this is the reason why they went away, because I had a lot of potassium. I was okay with the potassium. And
Yeah, electrolytes influenza. We have always to uh, apply the principle of disbelief and eliminate any physical causes first. But that's something that also I've already observed when I was in these field courses, that wouldn't be able to move my limbs, and they would be like very, very strongly contracted, and I wouldn't be able to move. That's a very weird sensation.
Yes, in general, when you don't know what's going on, it's not very comfortable. It's
Hmm.
really, sometimes it could be very uncomfortable. Uh,
Djalma, can I
and
ask you something? It seems that the slides is not working. Don't know why. Can you try to move? If you use your mouse, you will find a way to change the slides yourself through your computer. Try to do
oh,
it. There will be
um, let me see here with
if you
my
can
computer.
next. Yeah, because usually the viewer, the our guest usually moves the slide. But if not, I can start moving for the
Yeah,
next one. You just let me know.
no,
Okay, and we
I cannot move it.
yes.
For
And
some reason, I cannot move it.
so
I
what do you
tried.
prefer? Do should we
No,
keep
I'll
moving the
tell you.
slide?
And you move. I don't know if people are seeing it now or not, but I see it perfectly
No.
here. Do you see it, Anna?
Yes, I do. I actually do.
Interesting.
Yeah, we are
Interesting.
okay. I think we
Okay.
can go forward. We can use the slides,
Okay.
but they say that it is still blank.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, it
We
shouldn't
don't
be right.
we don't see.
Okay.
Okay.
So
But
one of the things that
use it
we
anyway, just to follow on the line.
okay, all right. So what we usually discuss this when one wants to research more on this subject, the field, the ectoplasmic field is one of the best places where you can do that. But of course, we are not going to do only research. We are going to use it because ectoplasm is very important for assistance. Uh, it's a kind of energy that it's very important not only for conscience, for people that intraphysical consciousnesses, or we ones that are alive, or the consciences, which are the ones that are not alive anymore. Those need ectoplasm as much as we do when we are going to assist them. Why is that? Because after death, or very close after death, um, all the problems, either emotional, psychological, energetical, those are usually the therapeutic kind of energy has to be more dense or more physical or more, let's say, or closer to the body that they lost, so that they can be little by little awakened in the after death situation. Okay, so the interassistential field or the ectoplasmic field with the objective of interassistentiality, it's, how is it? Go one back, please. This is this interstitial field that just appeared there. But it's important to understand that the field is something that is carried out by all the participants. So all the participants together with the extra physical team of helpers, right? The helpers are very, in general, helpers that work with that are very technical. So the extra physical team together with the conscience or all the participants of the field, they produce this area or this region where we can work with energies, we can work with ectoplasm. And inside that field, we can produce some phenomena. We can do assistance with the conscience and consciences locally and sometimes even remotely. Okay, we're going to discuss those things in detail, but it's important to understand this concept because it's those 7 years we're talking about. We had those fields every week in the same time on Fridays, still have on Fridays night, okay? Those fields, they are supposed, or they have the objective of doing assistance with conscience and consciences, okay? So next slide, please. Okay, this is a picture of one of those fields. Those two in the middle are the ones that we called couplers. I'm going to explain this a little further. So there they couple, they connect with the assisted, either conscience or conscience, okay? And at that moment, we produce the assistential process that we're going to show you what it is. Next slide, please. One back. Okay. Here, it's to understand some concepts. Conscience, it's the intraphysical consciousness that I was telling you. We have somas. We have physical body. This physical body is connected to our extra physical body that we call psychosoma through an interface that is called holochakra or energetic body, okay? This interface, this is very important, this interface, because this is what enables one to produce those fields, to produce or to mobilize energies, or to produce even ectoplasm or physical phenomena, as I'm going to explain to you. And the mental soma, which is the fourth, is like the superintendent of all the other bodies, right? Of all the other vehicles of manifestation of the consciousness. The consciousness is not any of those four. So the consciousness uses those four bodies, which we call holosoma, the holosoma is the four bodies that the conscience uses to manifest itself during the physical life, the intraphysical life. The conscience has, in general, only two bodies. Why did you say in general, Djalma? Because a lot of consciousnesses maintain a big portion of their holo chakra after death. So that's why we say we have a physical death or first death, and we have a second death, which is when we get rid of our holo chakra and become free with the psychosoma and mental soma, and become with only two bodies. So the second soma is very important. Second soma is very important because it's a point where we awake better, where our, let's say, discernment, lucidity, our consciousness is expanded to the level of conscience, which is usually much higher than the level we are capable during the physical life. So you're saying that when we die, we become more intelligent, more lucid, Jean? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. We become more intelligent, especially after the second death. Oh, so that's why you're saying it's important to have ectoplasm. Yes. To get rid of the holo chakra, sometimes the conscience needs, not all of them, some are able to do it by themselves. Some need to be helped, to go through this, let's say, death, or this passage, right? It's like a butterfly when it's coming out of its cocoon. It's like an extra physical cocoon that, after death, you need to get out of that to actually become lucid. Okay? So that's the idea. So when you see that we made a connection, yellow connection between the holo chakra of the conscience and the conscience. So that is to show how we interconnect, all of us, in the interstitial field. Conscience and consciences are interconnected either by the holo chakra for the conscience and the psychosoma to the conscience. So you're saying the holo chakra is the responsible for the ectoplasmic phenomena. Yes, it's the holo chakra, which is, of course, is the consciousness, the responsible, in true terms, but the where or which vehicle that is more important on the interstitial field in that sense is the holo chakra. That's why we call it energetic field, or ectoplasmic field, or interstitial field, talking about its functionality or its objective. Okay? So this is to give an idea of what happens in this interstitial field. In the dynamics, most of the dynamics, they have this same setup, the same interaction that we're talking about. Each one with their own functionality, with own prioritization. In the case of the parasurgery or the ectoplasmic of the Fridays night, it's more important, this more dense energy, ectoplasmic energy, to do or to provide assistance to the conscience and conscience that is in need. Okay, so that's the idea. It's hopefully it's clear until now.
It's quite clear, and I believe that something that we can also relate is the field it has to have a lot of optimizations because the ectoplasm is a very sensitive material. If you have like a high temperature, it's going to disappear. It's sensitive to light, so you have to you must have a field that has a dimmer ambience, and those are all ways of preparing the field, almost like a surgical operation room, I would say. The surgical operation room also needs a lower temperature, otherwise you are going to proliferate bacteria in the room. And it's a better hygiene and a better antiseptic way of doing the procedures if the temperature is low. But differently from the physical surgeries, we need light, so the surgeon is going to be looking and cutting, and there we don't need as much light because the concierges are going to make the interventions in the energetic body, and
Yes.
that
And
doesn't require light.
they don't need physical light to do that on their technique. You're very right. You brought up really important things that all the protocol that we have, it's a very technical kind of field where we need to actually take care of a lot of variables, especially as you're saying, temperature, light, and conditions of the environment. It needs to be very clean as well, not as like parasurgery, because it needs to be very clean. Why is it? Because, Djalma, when we are producing this, we become very sensitive, even physically sensitive. So people, if you have a lot of dust and a lot of, or when you're at spring and you have a lot of pollen in the air, people tend to sneeze. People, because they become very sensitive once they are producing the ectoplasmic phenomena. It's very subtle, but you also become very physically, even physically sensitive. So it needs to be very clean, no dust, no pollen. So we start the air conditioning very early to make, to be able to clean up the air, or to exchange air, and the area has to be very specific. So in that sense, you're very right. It's very technical. Every Friday, it's a lot of work to set up the interstitial field. And one might ask, what do you do to start? In general, we work with energies, and we start relaxing. It's very important to do some level of relaxation, because when we relax muscly, then we have what we call this coincidence of the vehicles. These vehicles, when we are awake, in the wake state, all these vehicles are very all together. But when we relax, the holochakra tends to expand, and when it expands, right, it starts to produce the phenomena. You need to relax. You need to make it, and some of us will go into trance, which is a connection with the extra physical team, right? Uh, uh, this kind is a mental somatic kind of connection with the extra physical team. So you get into this situation where the extra physical helper will interact with you in a very strict connection, very, if
It's like
possible,
a
very
very,
profound
very
connection,
profound coupling.
very
Where,
profound coupling, exactly.
Mhm.
And then we, on this profound coupling, it starts working with your energies all together. We work together with the ideas, with the thoughts, with what we call the saw themes, and we work also with the energies together. In this case, he is the surgeon. We are the auxiliary,
Yes, the
right?
assistants.
We are
Uh-huh.
the assistant or the instrument assistant, right?
Yes. Uh-huh. Circulating nurses.
Circulating nurses, exactly. So
Mhm.
that in this case, that's what we do in general. They use not only our energies, but also our mental state, our psychic state of mind to help the assisted. When we get this connection, we exchange a lot of information. We feel what the other feels, and they feel what we feel. So
Mhm.
I'm going to explain this a little bit further, but
Okay.
this process is very important. Though. So this is how it starts, and in our case, it's like a 2 hour field that we need. We make a connection with one or more helpers, but uh, with lots of different assisted ones. During a session like this, we might connect with several consciences and conscience.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay,
Djalma,
yes.
I remembered that 5 years ago I had a health problem, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a tumor in the right adrenal. And I had to go through a surgery. But I
Okay.
decided that before going through this surgery, this physical surgery, I was
Mm-hmm.
going to do a request for ECTOLAB for a parasurgery. And so I did. I sent the request I went in the website, sent the request, and they answered me, okay. And on Friday at 6 o'clock, you stay on your bed, rested and relaxed. That very soon we will start the work, the parasurgery. And so I did, and I felt all the process. It was a very subtle sensation, and for me it was as if there was a very small engine inside myself, and that
Mm-hmm.
engine sometimes reminded me like a fan, the
Mm-hmm.
fan that we use in the computer. Very
Yes.
small thing working inside my body, and that was subtle. Okay, then I went to sleep. I felt okay. In the other day I was exhausted, super exhausted, as if I had gone through a real surgery. I spent the whole day lay down on my
Resting.
bed, and I couldn't eat very well, just very light things, a soup or juice. And I wanted to stay very relaxed because I didn't have I wasn't strong enough to do the everyday tasks. Of course, I was aware that something like that could happen, but what is the explanation? Because you do the parasurgery in the energosoma or holochakra, but the repercussions are on the soma. It's very interesting. What is your experience about it?
You're quite right. You describe what lots of people describe. We usually ask the ones that undergo this kind of parasurgery, the remote one, to describe their sensations and what happens. So what happened is that ectoplasmically, really undergone a surgery, a physical surgery. It had real repercussion in your body. Sometimes for 1 or 2 days, sometimes 2 days, even three, depending on the kind of situation we explain. For the next 2 or 3 days, you know, pay attention if you will need to be resting and do not do any exercise, do not do any kind of effort and avoid driving and everything. This is explained because you might undergo more profound, more physical, or less physical, depending on the need. And now I need to ask, right? What happened? Did it prepare you for the next surgery? How was the surgery, physical surgery afterwards?
Well, it was very good. And what the doctor told me before I did, the anesthesiologist was our friend, was
Okay,
Ellen. And so she
okay.
said, well, you are going to have pain after the surgery. So I'm going to buy that pump of morphine,
Mm-hmm.
that is
Yes,
something that you have to
yes.
inject directly on your body, the morphine, so that it can stops a little bit the pain. But I never used this pump of morphine because it wasn't necessary. So I
Wow,
recovered very well. I stayed just 1 day and a half in the hospital, and I came back home. It was good. Of course, it was a post-operatory, post-surgical
so
procedure,
yeah,
so I had to rest to take the all the medicines the doctor recommended. I did
of
everything,
course.
and but it was very good. And what they said is that tumor I had was kind of dangerous. It could
Mm,
it could have been malignant. It wasn't. It was benign, but it
wow.
was kind of it looked like encapsulated because it was everything went fine. I well, in my opinion is that it helped a lot. It really helped. I highly recommend for the ones who are going to prepare
Yeah,
themselves for a surgery.
s- sometimes people get remission. Sometimes they get prepared for the surgery itself. So it works together with medicine. It's not something that's
Yeah,
going is going
yeah,
to avoid you to do all the
it,
medical procedures. It's very important to know all that, but it's important also to prepare yourself from the energetic point of view and also the physical point of view. So
that's
what
what I
you
thought.
did is that you prepared yourself energetically to undergo such thing that could be a long lasting kind of surgery or messy sometimes depending on the growth of the tumor and everything, and it wasn't either, right? We don't know if this is because of the nature of the tumor itself or
Yeah.
either because you worked with energies before and helped you to have a less entropic kind of environment.
Yes, for me it was good.
Surgeons usually talk about how entropic or not entropic is the surgery. Makes a lot
Mhm.
of difference on the outcome, or not only the surgery itself, but the way you recuperate afterwards, right?
Yes.
So energetically, we might help to diminish the level of entropy that you undergo when you go into a surgery. So I would say it's very recommended to do a
I
parasurgery.
agree.
You were
Yes,
very interesting on
and
this
always,
situation.
yeah, very important to not to. I think it's important for us to clarify here that it's
Mhm.
very important to recommend to follow the instructions of the
The doctors, of course.
because otherwise, surgery alone in this situation that you have to go through a physical surgery um, might not be enough. Might not.
Yeah, it does not substitute
Of
the
course.
conventional medicine, but it
Of
might
course.
be a coadjuvant.
Yeah,
Yes.
very good.
Mhm.
Very good to clarify that.
Yeah,
Yes.
we have a question from Chris Tochi, and I don't understand very well the question. Maybe Djalma can clarify. She asks if does the ectoplasm change during a course lifetime?
Or maybe what she's trying to ask, if we become more, uh, let's say, flexible or we can develop, I can develop more ectoplasmy along your life or not. Maybe this is what she's trying.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not sure. If this is the question, yes, it might change a lot depending on your exercise of your use. Is like muscle.
Oh, yeah.
If you
They
do
are.
a lot of assistance, you're going to have more and more, and sometimes more subtle. There are levels of subtlety, of dense kind of
Intensity.
phenomenon, right?
Mhm.
And it's harder to do the fine grain kind of thing that goes straight into that real problem that the conscience had, for instance, uh, emotionally and everything. It's very hard to do this. So, but you spend less energy if you are more precise, if you work better with your intraconsciential, let's say, um, self cognition, right? You
Mhm.
understand better your intraconscientiality, and then you can help more, or in a more subtle way, your assistant. So it becomes better. I have this experience.
And Regina is saying that maybe Chris' question has to do with
Yeah.
how the ectoplasm changes during one lifetime. In childhood,
Childhood.
we have a lot of ectoplasm, but we don't have emotional control about the whole process or even
Yes.
cognition.
Yes.
And then in old age and childhood, in both these times, you have your hollow chakra very loose. But
Exactly.
in one hand, you are going to be a lot wiser when you are in old age, but your physical body is not going to have that same intensity of ectoplasm when you are old. Am I right?
That's perfect. That's
Mm-hmm.
correct. Very correct
Mm-hmm.
answer. And even it's interesting to discuss this because we most people have heard of poltergeists, right? You
Mm-hmm.
don't see poltergeists uh, ep- epicenter, so the one that provides that on the adulthood or the old age, in general, or child. Why is
Child
it that
or
it
a
child
teenager.
or adolescent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it? Because this is the time that we have a lot of energy, but we waste a lot of energy as well, right? So
Right.
this energetic waste, it might be wrongfully used by uh, intruders. So
Right.
that's why you get poltergeist. So
Mm-hmm.
it's one of the situations that shows why children have more energy, but also might have more entropy than adults and elders. Like I'm becoming an elder now, so I'm having this experience, which I don't think my energy diminished. It's just that there is less waste. So what happens is that I get older, but I help more people with less effort.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You
I
learn to
I,
manage it better.
I manage it better. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I manage it better.
And Munir just made another question. If you could make a comparison between the work developed at ECTOLAB and the paranormal surgeries that use physical instruments such as scissors or scalpels and make cuts in the body.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not what we do. One of the later, I would talk more about this, but I'm gonna you know talk right now about it. There is one kind, or the most known kind of parasurgery is the one that, for instance, Arigo used to do,
Mhm.
And Arigo was very powerful kind of surgeon as well. He attended over 2 million people. It's a different kind of work. It's much more physical. He also got into a trance. He used scissors. He used scalpels. He used knife, whatever. Not worried, because three things have to happen in this kind of surgery. Okay, you need to have hemostasis, parahemostasis, or saying it's not going to bleed a lot. He's going to cut and it doesn't bleed. It's interesting.
And sometimes he wouldn't even do stitches.
He won't even do stitches.
Yeah.
He cuts, sometimes insert his finger or inserts the instrument or whatever, take it off physically, tumor, whatever he needs to do, and then he stitches with no stitch. So he closes it up afterwards, and you don't feel pain.
And I imagine it should be a lot of energy to do that. Because
and Anna, he would do it during the day, not only at night and in the dark. He would do it
in daylight with no prepare, no hygiene, and no nothing. No disinfectant.
All the helpers, especially Dr. Fritz, which was the mentor, the helper, number one helper that worked, but it used to be a team headed by Dr. Fritz, and this team took care of the parasecurity and all the conditions there on the surgery, and he's done over 2 million with no problem. Nobody had any problem. Most situations with nice remission. This is a quite different kind of situation, but it's also parasurgery. Arigo, Dr. Waldo was a friend of Arigo's. He met Arigo personally. He studied Arigo, so he knew well the capabilities of Arigo. He also, Dr. Waldo, studied a lot of those surgeons, the physical intervention, direct intervention kind of surgeons that had. In Brazil, we had more. For some reason, Brazil has a lot of those parasurgeons. But there were some also in Asia, in Thailand. He knew one guy that was just about the same as Arigo. He was very good also in doing surgeons and doing interventions, lots of them to lots of people during the day. During 20 years, over 20 years, Arigo has treated over 2 million people.
It's a lot of assistance.
It's a lot of assistance.
The only thing is that a very important difference in between ECTOLAB and the conscienciological institutions is that these institutions research the process, and they try to research it with all the parameters that are considered like scientific, and the person that is also doing the surgery, that's assistant, the one that is going to be the epicenter of the process, also is an object of research. And we try to become better helpers, better intraphysical helpers. And in this way, you kind of prevent the fate that some of these surgeons had, because they decimated in tragic forms.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Most of them have had very accidents.
Yes, like a car accident in case of Arigo.
or some were murdered. So they
Mm-hmm.
had tragic kind of death. And you would ask, why is it? It's because ectoplasm is very strong, very dynamic, very dense kind of energy. And if you don't know how to manage it, don't know in the sense of diminishing the level of entropy. That's what we were discussing before. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
know how to do that, that might blast back on your face. So sometimes you might have consequences of this situation. And of course, doing that, he was in the counterflux. This planet has a lot of intruders, right? So he, of course, was someone that had a lot of intruders wanting to stop him.
Mm-hmm. So
Yes,
it brings us to the next question here. How can you elaborate about ectoplasm and intentionality? Because I think
yeah,
that's the right moment for this question.
exactly. Well, anyone that has, um, let's say, the physical phenomena of ectoplasm is going to be much more, let's say, um, demanded on a fine understanding of our own intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
So all of us produce ectoplasm, but the ones that produce more or less, it's going you're going to see that if you're not, let's say, very self-conscious of your own thoughts, of your the quality of your thoughts, of your sentiments, of your energies makes a lot of difference. Once I remember Professor Waldo once told me, listen, today you cannot think badly of anyone. What?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, today, especially today. Why, Professor? Because you have a lot of energy now. If you really, for some reason, think badly of anyone or start a fight, you might kill someone without touching the person. So, intentionality goes a long way with that. If you're going to work with that, you cannot um, be angry. You cannot get, um, how can you say, you cannot shout, you cannot, you know, do those small, consider
Outbursts and even,
outbursts.
yeah,
You cannot do this. This is going to be tragic.
and even
And
not think badly about yourself as well, because we just
especially,
remember the escape. He can be used to cure a patient during a surgery, but it can also kill somebody.
yes,
So it's the ectoplasm is a tool like any other, right?
exactly. So you need to be very careful with your intentionality. It's nothing like religious thing. No, it's just the quality of your thoughts, the
Mm-hmm.
quality of your manifestation. It needs to go a long way with that. Otherwise, we start doing, you know, or having little accidents or having small mishaps because of this,
Mm-hmm.
at least small ones. And if you continue, you might get a big one. So most of the great ectoplasm producers like Arigo, like um, uh, another one that was very important was from Jundiaí, I forgot his name now. Mirabelli, Carmilo,
Mirabelli. Yes,
Carmilo
that was me.
Mirabelli. Carmilo Mirabelli also died with an accident.
Mm-hmm.
So very strong ectoplasmic medium or ectoplasmic producer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell you something about it. This is very simple. I have a friend who is very ectoplast. she is very, she knows that. And once I promised her I was going to bake a cake for her, and I didn't do that.
Mm.
I didn't do it because I didn't have time. But I said to her, I'll do it and I'll take it to your home. And then I didn't have time to do it. And I think she was expecting, it's something foolish thing. She was expecting the cake. And I started feeling the pressure because I
Wow.
said, wow, it might. I was connected with that energy and all the image and what I had promised to her. So I said, well, I had to do it. I had to
I
go
better
out
do it.
and buy something and take to her. Otherwise, I, I'm feeling the energies that are not so well here.
Okay.
But in the end, I did it. I did the cake and took it to her because I really felt that I had to do it because she was expecting, like, I know it
And and
sounds
and she
foolish.
probably doesn't know that the consequences of that. You need to study the effects.
I
She,
think
she
she
probably
wasn't.
wasn't aware of the extent of these effects.
Yeah,
You know.
and that also, Djalma, happens for some members of my family who are ectoplasts, but they don't know, and they start breaking things at home. For example, I have a cousin, and in her place, and not only one cousin, they were in three sisters when they were young, and everything was super broken, chairs, electronic
Wow.
devices, because all the children had a lot of ectoplasm, mainly one of them, and things used to broke. Even the piano that they had to play in a year, the piano was all over. We didn't know that in that time, but now we have that knowledge, we can make the correlation because until today, we know that they have a lot of energy and it's a little bit entropic and still causing some trouble to them. So
Yeah.
just to illustrate that we have to be more aware of this, more lucid about it.
It's interesting sometimes. Some houses they are very entropic, and you don't understand why they are so entropic. It's not because this person is physically not taking care of their houses. It's because they have a lot of potential, a lot of ectoplasmic potential, and they do not work well with their thocenes. And they have a lot of pressure of the ones that they need to assist.
Right.
So, you know,
See that?
so it becomes very
Entropic.
very entropic, and
Mhm.
then nothing works. Sometimes electronics are very sensitive to that.
And it
And
was
Most
so funny that our slides wouldn't work in the beginning of this
yes,
live.
yes, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, exactly.
but
So
it's
But
go ahead.
yeah, because we know there are people who doesn't work properly with their energies, are not doesn't care much to get information about it.
yes,
Uh, and the person ends up getting sick. Um, I've got a friend, I've told her, I spoke to her openly about ectoplasmy and so on, but she's very parapsychic. And also, she's going through a depression treatment.
hmm,
And I said to her, try to work with your energies, participate in some course because it might help you. She is aware of the multidimensionality. She's It's not the problem, but the point is people um, nowadays kind of have a lot of dispersion. So I think if the person has this problem, because it is a problem if it's not well managed, The person has to try to get more information, read about it, do exercises, try to exteriorize in favor of the others, because you can do it at your place. Of course, if you do it in group, it's even better with
Of
teachers
course.
orientation, with instructors.
It
It's going to
requires
be
a lot of
different.
discipline, right?
Yeah, because the
Yeah,
problem is
you
that
have to have discipline. That's it. Investment, invest time, effort, have discipline to manage this energy. I think it's very important that this thing that we are talking to five.
sometimes it helps to have self-organization. It doesn't need to go a long way, but self-organization to the level of your thoughts. You know, if you start getting a little bit more aware of what you're thinking most of the times, people have no boundaries on what they think, and they do not care about the effects of their thoughts sometimes.
It's true.
So this is so important, and that their psychosphere become very heavy, not because of intruders or anything. It's because the person is doing a lot of self intrusion, like Anna was saying. Because you start thinking badly, and then you start living in the garbage,
Mm-hmm.
in
Getting
the thoughts
intoxicated.
in garbage, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
that's the problem. That's the problem. So, and people, it's not a problem sometimes of so much of intentionality. Sometimes it's just a problem of self-education, some basic education. What I'm going to think, what I'm not going to think, goes a long way.
Very good.
So why waste time thinking this way? Or if you start developing a little bit more of your sensibility, you're gonna see that your own psychosphere becomes worse when you think this way or that way.
Very good.
So
Mm-hmm.
this goes a long way. Of
That
course,
is the clarification task, pure clarity task. Very good. People, we have some more questions. Can we answer them, Djalma? Because we had
sure,
some
sure,
issues in the beginning
please.
of this live. Um, so what is the next? Yeah, Munir's.
So it seems to me that parasurgery with cuts in the physical body is aimed primarily to consolation, although it's assistance anyways. What is your take from this?
Yes, it's assistance anyway. It's consolation. It's not clarification. You're very right, Munir. But in that sense, and it also, if you study Arigoa well, you're gonna see that thing he had very little decision there. This kind of work that he had to do. It's the determination on his case, karmic determination, was very strong. So I'm not saying that he was bad, no, but the opportunity of recomposition for some reason was very strict in his
Mm-hmm.
case. He had to
He,
to
he doesn't have much choice in the way that he would use his
he didn't have
process.
much choice or much decision
Mm-hmm.
or self liberty to avoid this or that. He had to do
Mm-hmm.
it. So there are some things that even worse than consolation is that he had to do it. The clarification task is quite different, and you can use the parasurgery for clarification. Can you? Yes. When
Mm-hmm.
you couple with your assistant, and it feels he or she feels your energy, your thoughts, your way of thinking. It's, IV example. It's it's intravenous example. It's direct. You give example of how to think, of how to proceed, of how to see things in a better way. It's just like what we feel when we couple with a helper, right? We feel expanded, we feel better, we feel more cosmoethical, we feel more lucid, with more discernment, right? We feel all of this. This example changes you. You want to be like this all the time, right?
And you kind of promote self-research with this whole process. So
exactly.
You evolve with the process.
You evolve with the process. Afterwards, after connecting to the helper with that level, you become, I need to be this. I need to do this. This is the best seduction that someone can do with you. Wow, that's very good. I want that all the time. Is that possible? Yes.
I want to be a partner all the time. Right?
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
And we just brought the name of another medium that worked with
Edson Queiroz, exactly. Who
yes.
Very, very, very well. He's another one. He was killed with a knife. With a knife.
Wasn't
Pay
it
attention.
a bee accident?
He was killed with a knife.
Wow. Yeah, that's a very, very difficult thing. Wow.
Yeah, but yes, it's what Djalma said. The ectoplasts have more accident proneness. They're more open. We are more open. Okay, we are
all more open.
Under development. We are still under development, but as we work with energies, we exteriorize. We try to keep our vehicles of manifestation in out of alignment, to exteriorize the energies, to do assistance. This is the key for the ectoplast to do assistance.
Exactly.
So we have to be all this self-organization, a balance in toxins, so that we can exteriorize good quality energies. So I think this is the key. And so I think we are in our time. Okay. Munir is thanking you. Okay, sounds very logical. Thank you very much. Thank you, Munir, Chris Totti, and Regina, Evelyn, Rui Bueno, everyone that participated here. Thank you very much for your participation. And Djalma, I would like to thank you a lot for this great live, this very important clarification task that you did to us today. And invite you to other lives next year, maybe.
No, actually, we are going to have Professor Djalma in December, because he didn't have the opportunity of showing all his experience in this topic.
Very good.
It's a very interesting topic. So we are having him again in December 18th.
Oh, yes.
So we are going to continue developing this team, or maybe he's going to bring something else. We don't know.
Yeah, we can discuss this and see what's better or more suitable to everyone. Okay?
All right.
Very good. So, and thank you, Ana Marcia, for your support, your knowledge, your presence. That is always great to have you here. Thank you so much.
Great pleasure to see you guys.
Yes,
see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next week, we are in 15 days, we are going to have the instructors Fabiana Cerato and Claudia Adeli talking about multidimensionality. So keep your clocks on and your calendars aware, and subscribe to our channel.
Great idea. Great idea. Thanks, Anna. See you, people. Bye-bye. See you soon.